All right. So I've decided to do another analysis of these three pairs: gold, AUD/NZD, GBP/NZD. The reason why I decided to do another analysis is because I like them so much and I want to show you how I've analyzed them to arrive at the conclusions that I've made, that these are all buys. So let's start off with the GBP/NZD. So we're on the daily right now. We can see that for about a week and a half or two, price has basically stayed in this trading range here. All right. Well, on the daily, we can see that there's a trend line here and also an area of support. Price touched this area of support and rejected. It came down a little closer, but it never got all the way back to this area of support. This was our trend line. Price broke this trend line. Well, why do I think that this is a buy? Well, as we saw here in the daily, this is an overall uptrend. This was the pullback from the uptrend. So that makes it a buy on the daily, all right? Some persons might have said or might think that this is the previous low. Okay, maybe. But let's take a closer look. All right? Our trend line, our support, our trend line. Now, if we look at the 4-hour, you can see price was at a high, made a new lower low, a lower high, a new lower low, a lower high. But then it failed to make a lower low. This was a previous lower low. This is now a higher low. And then it broke out of this resistance to have a 4-hour candle closing above that resistance, making this a new higher high. And this would now be a higher low. So lower low, lower high, transitioning into a lower high and a higher high above the resistance. That makes this a bullish market, a bullish momentum. So what I'm expecting now is that price is going to come back and make a lower high. Maybe we'll come at this level, whichever level it comes to, as long as that low is above this previous low, means it's going to be a lower high, and therefore it confirms that we're now in a bullish trend. So the next move to the upside is expected to go above this previous high. All right. Let's take it back to the 4 for the daily candle. Price closed as a wick through this resistance. But I expect it to close as a full body daily candle within the next trading session. Maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. But this here is a bullish trend. It's a conversion, converted from that downtrend to now an uptrend. All of this happened on Friday. Let's look at the AUD/NZD. So price was bullish. This is our trend line. This is our support. On Friday, price broke this trend line, which is a signal that we're changing direction. So we were bullish here. We broke that trend line. Now I have a massive bullish engulfing candle. So that's a signal that we're now bullish. But let's break it down even further. This, okay, let's start from here. So we had a lower high, a lower low, another lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. We tried here, we made a higher high, because this high came above this lower high. So we had a higher high, and then once again, we made a higher low, because this was a previous low. The previous high, Higher high, previous low, lower high. So we're transitioning here. And then in addition to that transition, we broke through that trend line. Okay, we broke through that trend line. So this is a signal that price has changed direction. So what I'm looking for here is for price to pull back to create a higher low. Some might think that this here is the higher low. I don't think so. I believe price will come back once more and then break through this resistance area. So at the very last, we can see a transition, a change in the direction, with price creating new higher lows and higher highs. So again, we've transitioned into a bullish momentum now. Gold. Price has been buying off of this resistance, this trend line, sorry, for quite some time. And price retraced all the way back to this trend line. All right, let's take it from the daily. All right, price retraced back to this trend line. What has price done? So this was our higher high. Price created a low. Price then created a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, and then a lower low. But then with this move to the upside, price has created a higher high because this was the previous high on that 4-hour. Price broke above that. So this is now a higher high. So what I'm expecting to happen to confirm that this is a transition, I expect price to return back to this level, not going below this lower low. So anything above this level is going to confirm that we have transitioned into what is potentially a bullish market once again. It means that we're going to be out of this retracement. Then further confirmation would be price breaking past this trend line. And once price has created a higher low and has broken through this trend line, that signals to us that we can buy. Even if price breaks through this trend line without creating that low, at some point it will have to make a retracement. Once it makes that retracement, that will now become the higher low, which will therefore signal that this here is a bullish market.